Okay, today we're going to be ranking like every season of the Pokemon anime. So you have your Kanto, then your Johto region, then Hoenn, Sinnoh, Unova, Kalos, Alola, and then your journeys. And I'm gonna include like the ending of the Ash, the last 12 episodes of that into the journeys. And you also don't see the Orange Islands because I didn't actually watch the Orange Islands. So the worst series at number eight, I have the Alola region. I was just not a fan of it. They really redesigned it from the Kalos region when they did this, but I was just not a fan. I was not a fan of the new anime design, all those new like expressions. I was not really a fan of. Ash got 100% redesigned. I wasn't a fan of that either. Um, and I also didn't like the concept of um, Ash staying at a Pokemon school because I thought Ash was so much better than every other student, and I also think that it lacked progression, especially these later series, including Journeys, it lacked progression. There were times when they talked about getting the Z crystals, getting beating the totems, then the very next episode you have a filler episode focusing on something completely different, and you just kind of lost that progression. I also thought that um, the battles itself were really slow, and ever since like the Sinnoh region, the battles have just been getting slower and slower and more like a game version. But this is anime, not a game, and I felt the battles were really like unenergetic. And also, I felt the series was really long. I felt the series was really long. There was so much going on, like Ash, all the side characters, all the people at the school, the Ultra Beast. There was just so much going on that I couldn't keep track of one story, and it felt super duper long. Then you have number seven. I'm putting the Journeys. To me, it was really boring. Journeys was different than some of the other ones. It's more of a slice of life season, not really like uh, other ones. But to me, the biggest problem was also similar to Alola region, the lack of progression. There's episodes when they talk about the coordination series, and then their next episode they talk about something completely different. Also, if you watch like the middle of the episode in the middle of the series compared to the beginning, you can't really tell which one comes first since they really the Pokemon they don't really ever evolve that much outside of like Riolu um and Surfetch. So lack of progression is huge for me. Go was okay. I was not I didn't hate him, didn't really like Go. The battles though, another thing that was really that I really didn't like about Pokemon Journey was the battles were so slow. They were so slow. They were just like one Pokemon go after the next, and that might work fine if it's a game, but for anime it was just not interesting. Um, I do like the designs though. The animation looked good. Ash's design it was 10 out of 10 improvement over the Lola region, but there just wasn't much too much to talk about. The number six, and also actually before I go to number six, talk about the little Ash ending. I was also not a fan of that. I felt that Ash ending was so boring, and it fueled off your nostalgia, and I just didn't feel that nostalgia, so I felt it was so boring. And then you have number six. I have the Unova region. Started off really bad with Ash losing to Trip. Um, Also for number seven and eight, Ash didn't really have a rival that big of a rival. And every season before that, he had a big rival, so that's probably one of the reasons why they're down here as well. But back to the Unova region, um, just Ash. Ash was such a kid in this. I thought he was a kid in the Lola region, but Ash in the Unova was also a big kid. I did not like Iris, and Silent to me was also kind of boring. Ash's Pokemon really weren't that memorable. Only thing I remember was Snivy and Oshawa. That's the only slightly memorable, and maybe Crocodile, slightly memorable Pokemon of Ash's team. Um, Also, the battles I did like the style battle animation of the moves, but it also felt a little bit slow. Um, the animation was good. This is probably one of the best to me, one of the best Ash designs. But other than that, it just none of the side characters hit that hard, and Ash was just not was so immature in this series. Then at number five, I'm gonna put the Hoenn. To me, this was such a forgettable season. May was fine, Brock was fine. May's little brother, I don't remember his name, Max, I believe. He was so annoying. It was just a forgettable series. Ash's Pokemon was just Sceptile. it was just like a step down from earlier seasons at that point, and there just wasn't. There's not much to talk about. This series just kind of there. It's not that good. It's not that bad. I don't really have anything too positive or too negative to say about it. The animation Ash looked fine, but this is kind of like a transitioning. And then number four, I have the original. Um, Honestly, Ash was probably ruthless. Ash was much more ruthless in season one and in the Kanto and the Johto region. Brock and Misty, I thought they were more interesting here as well, and Ash just learning how to become a Pokemon trainer, that was somewhat interesting. But you also have the really high down moments. The animation does not hold up to this day, and how it ended was not pretty either. Um, him losing because Charizard wouldn't do anything, that kind of annoyed me. And there was the times when Ash acted a little bit too much like a kid later on in the series, but he was a new trainer starting out, so I can see that. The animation, like I said, didn't really hold up, but it was still good. Ash was ruthless. It was much more funny than later on in the battles, but the battles also weren't that good since the animation can't hold up, so I have them at four. Then you have number three. I have the Johto region. Somewhat forgettable, but Ash was still kind of ruthless. Animation got better. The battles, I think, took a huge step up. The battle was just more fun to watch. I like it, but outside of that, there weren't a lot of negatives. But it was just also like the Hoenn region was not that memorable. Then you have number two, um, XY, Kalos region. Ash probably the my favorite version of Ash. He looked the most mature. He finally put all his battling skills together. He actually addressed his past. Serena was all right. Clement was all right. I did like Bonnie though. One the battles. I think the battle animation looked good. I felt like it was the battle style was to me still a little bit slow, but the animation made up for it. Animation it still holds up to this day. I like the villain team. I like the ending, but only my really only complaint is that some of the pacing was off. There were times when they like had multiple episodes in the Serena arc and other multiple episodes in the Clement arc, and there were some times when they just focused off of Ash, and Ash just stopped trying to get gym badges for whatever reason. Like I remember when Ash had like five gym badges, and then Sawyer had like two, and then when they met the next time, Ash had like seven, and Sawyer already got all eight, and that kind of annoyed me a little bit. But other than that, I really liked it. And then number one, I gotta put the Sinnoh up there. I think it had the perfect balance of Ash being both a kid, being funny, being ruthless, and him being much more mature. His animation, it's not horrible, but it's not great either. But I like Dawn, I liked Brock in this series. And Infernape. I really like Infernape. Probably one of my favorite Ash Pokemons. And I really liked the battling. It had good animation, held up, and it was also quick paced. It was fast paced, and also I loved his rival, Paul. He was a great rival, and honestly, I really like the Sinnoh series. So there you have it. That's my tier ranking of every season of the Pokemon anime.